Hey, what's happening? It's Bill Smith. If you're in the chat, if it's online, could you type something? It's been it's been like 2 weeks since I live streamed. I'm so sorry for taking so long to get back to this. Like I just kind of had a hectic life over the last few weeks. Let me go find what I'm looking for here, and then I'll start the video. Here we go. Sweet. If you're in the chat, if it's on. Hey guys. Sweet. If you're in the chat, all right. So there's a giant delay on my side. When I talk into the microphone, it's like 10 or 15 seconds before I hear it come through on YouTube. So, why are Jewish ultra-nationalists demonizing white nationalism? That is a great question, Petra. That is a fantastic question. I don't know. It seems like we've kind of jumped the shark almost on this stuff. We're gonna go take a look at the live stream here. So let me go get to it. Let me cue this thing up real quick. Bingo. Okay. Still all good? All right. Thank you for bearing with me while I get this all set up. All I have is like a laptop, and like I said, there's a delay, and I got a USB microphone, so I'm kind of low-teching it here, and I don't know how to make this run any better. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move over to this live stream here in a second. I'm going to look for it right now. We're going to look for it together. So we're looking for the House Judiciary Committee live stream. All right, these are the ones. Am I on here yet? I wonder if you can look for just live. Thanks everybody for joining. I appreciate it. Kind of missed everybody, to be honest. Oh, there we are. Ha! All right, so this is us. So we just went live. We just went live like 2 minutes ago. There's 25 of us, and there's only 4 people in the world covering this. Can you believe that? So what's interesting is I went and looked at this. This was not here earlier, so I don't know why that popped up. This is the number one, so this is where the most people are watching. And this is PBS NewsHour. I don't know why so many people joined this recently, because there was like 200 people in here. This was really high for a while. Obviously, this should be the number one. Like, look how many people are watching the second one, Red Ice TV. I don't know what that is. Kind of new to that channel and their content, but I think that if they're covering a White House Judiciary Committee on white nationalism in real time, they probably have some pretty good coverage of it. I doubt PBS NewsHour is any good, and who likes Fox, man? I mean, if you're in the airport, I prefer to CNN, but they're basically useless at this point. All right, so check this out. The United States government is currently having this: a House Judiciary Committee to hold a hearing on hate crimes and the rise of white nationalism. This is happening right now in Congress. Right now. And there's only, ooh, look at that one. Went the wrong way. There's only a total of 4 people covering this. 4. And I just started. So I'm not going to go into my live stream. That won't make any sense. But we are going to go into here. And then what I'm going to do, hang on, let me jockey back over here real quick. I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions. Thanks for the likes, guys. Appreciate that. Red Ice holding it strong. Ironic, it's the same day as the Bill Barr testimony. That is ironic. Check out Red Ice. G-Spike, what's up, bro? Slave foods. What's up, Manny? Kevin, John, Sherry, Ayatollah Humongous. What's up, bro? What's up, Ron Sheckelson? Yep. Can't survive without a host environment. That is true. It's weird that Israel is one of the most powerful countries in the world. They have the eighth biggest military or something. They have nuclear weapons, right? And you can't boycott them. That's illegal now. You can't get a government contract if you boycott Israel. And you can't boycott Israel at all, I think, if you're in other countries. I think that's weird. That's very odd. Imagine having to write laws so that people have to deal with certain groups' bad behaviors and I don't know, man. All right. So everybody said hey? Can we go to the live stream now? Is Red Ice okay? Or would you prefer PBS? See, there's a pretty good delay on what I do. Red Ice is okay. Yeah, what's up, Petra? Out in the UK. Stay strong. I hope help is coming. You know, I can't promise it from the US, but I hope it is. God is boycotting Israel. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to this live stream, and honestly, here's what I was doing. I just kind of saw this on the Drudge Report. That's where I got this information from. I came and looked on YouTube. There was only one live stream when I checked it out that had comments enabled. So a little bit before this, before we get in, YouTube went through and disabled everybody's comments, and then Facebook disabled the comments on the actual House Judiciary's official account, because I guess people were leaving a lot of comments. So I'm going to watch the rest of this anyway because I was interested, and then I wanted to just kind of like tell the 50 or 100 people that know about my backup channel that this is happening, and then we can watch this together. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this other channel. Stick around if you'd like. I just wanted to have a place where people could actually chat about this and leave comments. So I'm gonna switch over to the Red Ice thing, and then I'm gonna wait until they complete their live stream, and then I'll come back on and I'll talk some more about what I've been looking at over the last couple weeks, and then maybe answer some questions and just chat with you guys. All right, we ready? So we're gonna go to this one because it's the most popular, has the most amount of people in it. And it has a lot of likes. Look how many likes it has versus dislikes. So people really, really enjoy this content. They've been streaming for 3 hours. I'm going to turn up the volume here in a second. Earlier, they had chat. So they had made like 100... Someone gave them like $100 or something. That's not very much money. But I want to tell you about what's happened before we get into this. So what happened was they started talking about this on a live stream. NBC News and a bunch of other mainstream media outlets started complaining on Twitter. And then in the congressional testimony, one of these people, not these people, these are the panelists or whatever, the people up here doing it, the congressman said that there was a white nationalist group earning money and fundraising over covering this event about combating white nationalism. So it was like just such a perfect storm of irony that I just had to get the live stream out and push go. So if you want to comment, you can comment again over on mine. But other than that, I think we're ready to go. The next news network is streaming it also. I didn't see it. Maybe they didn't maybe they didn't cover it, keyworded or something. I don't know why the Next News Network didn't show up, because I did pull only live streams. Okay, without that, I've been kind of going on too long here, so I'm going to quit chatting, and I'm going to put these two people on my backup channel. I don't know who they are, but it looks like they have the best real-time coverage of this event. So without further ado, here is Red Ice TV covering the House Judiciary Committee hearing on criminalizing nationalism for white people.
The way so far that I have is they never defined the terms, first of all, so we're not quite sure what they actually are talking about, or what kind of people they actually are talking about. Now they claim, well, we know who we're talking about. Okay, well, there could be people that don't know, and the fact that they didn't do us that service or favor of mentioning that is, I think, dangerous, because that means you can call anybody anything that you don't like, and as we know, that's a way, despite the fact that today they talked against dehumanization and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Well, these very terms that they're throwing around is also used to dehumanize people, and to put them in a perspective where they basically are not going to be heard or taken seriously, or that their concerns are legitimate or anything like that, right? So they conflated all these terms that they threw about. The actual title of the hearing was on white nationalism, but we've heard basically every person on the panel and the congressmen or senators that brings up or have some questions for the panel,
other interest groups,
have used white supremacy groups. Anyone that they've used white supremacy interchangeably with white nationalism, and then they've just talked about people who are white separatists all of a sudden. What does that mean? What do they mean by these things, right? So what I think that they're doing is that they're jumbling all this together to make sure that people who hold beliefs which they could kind of just include as a kind of an umbrella term, really, a negative connotation, an umbrella term, and the value in expanding that as far as they can is that you will have a lot of people who might have hold those opinions that could fall inside of the umbrella to run away from that, right? Yeah. In fear, to say, okay, well, I can't be that, or I can't say this then anymore because, excuse me, that means I'm with them or something like that, right? So they intentionally do that to expand and cast as a wide net as possible to get a reaction where multiple people flee from the scene effectively, right? So they've never recognized if there are any of the concerns that are legitimate. They did not place any individuals on the panel that could represent the very ideas, I guess, or political beliefs that they are attacking in this hearing. They conflate violence with just normal political activism, discourse, things that we should discuss in an open and democratic society. People that issues, I should say, that are of public interest and concern. Do they mean that if we talk about being critical of open borders, does that mean that are we separatists then, for example?
Yes.
Or like what? We don't know what they're talking about.
It just keeps getting more narrow and narrow, that term,
Yeah. There was one, I think it was this ADL lady, she recognized the danger in overreach, and I definitely agree with her on that if you cast this very wide net, you're going to
push
devour...
too hard, too fast. A lot of people are going to be like, hold up here, what is going on?
That too, but that's obviously, and that could be one of the reasons why she's warning about it, because she realized that that's an unintended consequence of what they're doing, right? But hopefully she's just saying that in that process there will be people who are, how do I deem it, in their mind, in their vernacular or whatever, innocent, right? They're innocent. They haven't performed any of these thought crimes, but they're talking about issues which are, for now controversial or something like that, right? Then if they overreach, they could include a bunch of other people, and as you said, one of the consequences of that is that they might be more skeptical.
Well, they're trying. She also mentioned free speech. Within their constitutional rights, all of a sudden, Constitution. But yeah, free speech. What? Where's that going to? What is going to be allowed to be talked about that is against their policy of the left? Like, what can we say then?
It's up to them.
I mean, this is where it's heading.
That's the thing.
They don't care about free speech. They don't care about the Second Amendment. They don't care about any of this.
That's why, of course not. And that's why I think that's where I think they want to have the discourse or the level of these arguments. They want to be that if we for whatever reason think that you're bringing something up which we think is bad, or we think it's inappropriate or we're offended by it or whatever the hell it is, then they are basically, with these measures, reserving the right to deplatform these individuals, to go after them, to do targeted defamation campaigns in the mainstream media, to misrepresent them, to claim that they are things which they are not, to call them violent terrorists when they are not. All these things which is horrific, which literally regimes in other countries, which America is so happy to criticize and clamp down on, are caught red-handed doing against their political enemies all the time. Now that environment and that climate is something which is rising out of hearings like this, where you have an entire slew of political activists that are on trial, effectively, for doing something or for talking about something which they don't like. Now they claim that they're just about violent extremism.
No,
but that's not the
no,
that's
they're
not the case.
mixing it all up here.
They're mixing it all up.
No, because talking about this, created this kind of violence. But this doesn't apply to any other people's. Actually, we're trying to prevent violence. This is why we talk about these things. But now we're not even allowed to talk about it. Let's just review the First Amendment, right? In simple terms, the U.S. Bill of Rights that protects freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. We don't even have that anymore in America.
Barely.
Freedom of the press. We are the press here. Red Ice is the press, whether you like it or not. And the right to petition. What, we can't petition?
Real media.
I mean, we can't petition against these representatives when they're getting taxpayer money in this supposed democracy? I mean...
All right. So while we're handling this, I feel like this is kind of at a low... We're going to have a lull here for a second. I watched the first part of this, and what I could tell was that in the opening statements, all these panelists, you can't see them, they're over here, they're this way, she's on the end. They had them lined up in an order. The first person was from the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, and I believe that she was Jewish. Then the next guy was a Muslim, and he lied and said that white nationalists killed his son, when in fact they were his kid was killed over a parking dispute with this Democrat, anarchist atheist guy or something. So this panel has misrepresented some facts already, and no one in Congress has. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to fact check? I mean, these two people on the left, these two people from this channel called Red Ice, they fact checked this in real time. So they were monitoring social media while they were giving their analysis, and they found dirt. So it's not that hard. These people up here could easily do a better job. They could all have an earphone in and somebody in the other room, looking stuff up on the internet like we do. There's Pizzagate Sheila. There she is. Pizzagate Sheila. Is she wearing that ring today? Oh, looks like it's a different ring, huh? You don't have that pedophile ring, huh, Sheila? That double triangle pedophile ring that she used to wear. What's some more stuff that I could kind of mention here for a second? So one thing worth noting is somebody powerful is doing something right now, and Jared Kushner is not behind him in the picture. So that's not Jared Kushner, and that's not Ivanka Trump. Seriously, go find a picture of Trump that doesn't have Jared Kushner in the background. I mean, I've grown to not like Jared Kushner pretty quickly. I've kind of kept my mouth shut about that one, but he needs to go. He needs to go. Israel's getting everything they want. All of it. And there may be some master plan I don't know about, but, from where I'm standing, I have to go, look, I think that's going to cause more problems than it's going to be worth, Just give the Golan Heights back to Syria, man. It was their stuff. Or Jordan or whatever, Let the Palestinians have their own country. Why is that hard? Just they're human beings, They're living. Where are they going to go? They're already there. I learned this too. There used to be an airport in Palestine, so I thought, well, I'm going to go visit this place, not Palestine, but Israel and the whole area, just so I can know. I can talk to people over there, and I don't have to read about it online. I can get a real experience. And I thought, I would probably fly into Palestine and then drive into Israel, because you're supposed to be able to cross, right? But then I found out that they had an airport, but Israel bombed it, and then they ripped it up, like the whole tarmac. Can you imagine that? Israel came out and bulldozed that tarmac, tore it up, and now they won't let the Palestinians import concrete or any kind of building material. And then they have the two-faced fucking audacity to go online and say, we're better and we deserve this place because we do better with it. Look how much better our country is than their country. And I'm like, well, you're not letting them import concrete, man. How are they supposed to build stuff? They built an airport. You tore it up. And I get it. They're terrorists. Everybody's a terrorist nowadays. But at the same time, there's human beings living in the Gaza Strip. I feel like they should have some sort of dignity and not have to go throw rocks at a fence. They throw rocks, they get shot in the head with a sniper bullet. Like, that's the reality. If we did that in the United States, do you understand what would happen? If a police officer sniper rifled some black kid in the head for throwing a bottle or a rock? It seems like it's out of control. That's all I'm saying. So we need to get our priorities straight. And I'm in favor of everybody having a good time. You know what I'm saying? I'm a liberal. That is the messed up part. I don't really consider myself a conservative. I'm a liberal. I think that you should be able to do what you want for the most part, as long as it doesn't impact society at like some kind of high level. So I'm not for, gay pride parades, people dancing around naked in the streets, making out with underage kids. I'm not for that. I think that it demeans common decency and general society as a whole. But they're talking about it's okay to be white. Is it okay to be white? Let's hear from Red Ice.
And it's going to be mostly white people. You know it. It's crazy.
On the, not necessarily, actually. We'll have to see about that. But yeah, so we think from our perspective that this is total insanity. I think that these people, many of them are irrational in the sense that they only bring up the cases which proves their point, right? Proves the point that, well, all of this leads to violence, and that's simply not true. There are, for every violent act, I'm confident to say that there's tens of thousands of non-violent, peaceful activists that they want to see legitimate political change, and they're operating inside of the democratic process. They're doing what they can to speak up, but they're still being silenced because they're being jumbled in and garbled in with all these other individuals that are doing bad things, which ultimately benefits the power structure, as we said earlier. With more attacks, more violence, the more call for security, surveillance, snoop laws, all these kinds of things you're going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing crackdown on the internet as a consequence, the ability to spread memes online, anything, really. Anything goes in this case. They could just conjure up anything. And the reason for this is because they have not had a true representation of, and again, I'm not talking, the fact that they're conflating the terms, that's the dangerous aspect here, right? They say it's all violence, but it isn't, because they have included like a number of people. They mentioned Richard Spencer. Has he ever done a violent act, for example?
He hasn't.
No, he's lobbied, he's talked.
And they should have had him on the panel, like we said. When you're talking about him, you're going to talk about these people, and then they don't even have a chance to speak back. People who are taxpayers, people who vote and are part of the society, they don't have a chance to respond. Yeah, I mean, this is really the worst. I
think it's insanity. I think it's hysteria.
The worst authoritarianism the world has ever seen or will ever see, probably, is going to be these progressives.
It's a new level to it, because it's not, it's not yet, I guess I can preface that saying, as like it was in the Soviet Union or something, where you're, hauled off to the gulag and put in camps. It's not on that level yet, but what we have is virtual gulags. We have virtual camps. We have ostracization of entire political ideologies, just because you have this homogenous kind of view of what they want to see the world develop into, with no diversity of opinion. And again, I think that they see nationalists, and they see Western, especially also Western countries, European countries, as a huge obstacle in that, towards that goal. And so all of this is a kind of a pathway towards ensuring that those are destroyed, and they're doing that partially with liberalized ideologies and cultural Marxism, but they're also doing it with open borders and multiculturalism and mass immigration, right? That's another factor. If you can import a whole new voter base, for example, you're kind of ensuring that the countries are not going to go towards any kind of nationalism, right? So I see it as a political agenda which is having real life consequences, which is creating misery and suffering for millions and millions of people. That's what I see at the end of this.
Yep.
So anyway, I think that's it. They wrapped up. Maybe there's a part 2. I'm not sure.
4 hours of a whole lot of the same.
A whole lot of nothing, really.
A whole lot of the same.
To be honest, yeah.
And it's just about pushing the one narrative, the one viewpoint, and any other people that were online. They were chasing around and shutting down any chats or anyone who had an opposing view. It's just outrageous. I saw people calling for why a Google representative was questioned why they didn't shut down this stream right now. Like, we couldn't even have this stream commenting on our own government, things that they're talking about.
No, I know.
This is insane.
I know, it's insanity, but that's what it is. You know, again, they don't want diversity of opinion, and again, I sincerely believe that's because they know that people who, approach this rationally and again non-violently and can present their arguments and just talk about these things, I think that they consider to be dangerous because I think it actually opens the eyes of people to a certain extent. I'm not saying that everyone watching this is convinced by it by any means. I know there's a lot of political enemies and they already in their set ways, but I'm just saying there are a lot of people out there that are beginning to see and they're starting to recognize that something is wrong, right? Something is wrong in our societies. Decisions are being made, policies are being implemented, which we are not allowed to take part of.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to have a say even in it. And the more they do this, the more people will open their eyes and see that what we're talking about is it corresponds more accurately with the reality that they are experiencing than this fantasy of globalization or multiculturalism or something like that. So we're bringing this to the table and saying, hey, we think it's a bad idea. We think it's a bad idea to have open borders, no control. We think it leads to things like terrorism and violence. Unfortunately, no one wants that. No one wants to see that. We don't want to see that. And, there's a level-headed approach you can have to these questions. So I think the more that they can associate it with nonsensical things or with violence or something like that, the more beneficial it is to them. And that's why they don't have accurate representation of the ideas, right? That's why they just throw that in the toilet with everything else. So anyway, we'll see what comes out of this, but I think it's insanity. I think it's a hysteria. We're in a hysteria. Hopefully we'll look back at this period with amazement, historically speaking, and just saying, like the witch trials or something, like these people were crazy. They were insane.
Yeah.
For targeting
I think so.
people that had nothing to do with these kinds of things that they're talking about, right? So we'll see. We'll see what comes out of it.
Calling us white supremacists as though we want to rule over all these non-whites. Quite the opposite. I want to live a peaceful little happy life with my family and my children and not have them be told that they're evil and wicked and immoral because of being white, that their ancestors were these horrible, awful people and that they should suffer and they owe the world everything and they can't have a country of their own because of this and that. That is not the world that I want for my children. I don't think anyone wants that kind of world. Would I want that world for any non-white people and their children in their countries? Am I going over to their countries and saying, you can't have a country of your own and your children should grow up and be guilty for this and that and you owe people this and that? Never. I would never, ever wish that on anyone else, and I don't want that for my family.
No,
so naturally, you can understand why people are feeling a little defensive, white people, at this time.
Yeah, and again, I mean, they were talking about equality and things like that, and in that sense, I would agree if they would equally enforce the kind of things that they were talking about, right? Some of the people, if you would have swapped out the term that they were using when they're talking about a Muslim or a Jewish guy or something like that, for a white person, then I'd be like, yeah, I agree with that. Like, there shouldn't be discrimination. There shouldn't be dehumanization of them. They shouldn't be guilty for what other people do and stuff like that, right? So I agree with many of the points, but we're seeing a tremendous unequal playing field, and it's done to attack people who are white and who are nationalist, or they have they're pro-white identity, whatever, right? So anyway, we could go on for a long time just breaking this down and discussing it, but I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been very interesting, and I do think that there is probably fallout, should I call it, for daring to speak up against something like this. We'll see what comes in the wake of this, but do make sure that you subscribe to all our different channels and stuff, because you never know. Simply for sharing this different perspective, we might be booted off of YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or all of them or none of them. We'll see what happens, right? So it could all
They have to
go
walk
down.
a fine line because of free speech also, and they know that.
Yeah, and we did we tell the chat all the time, do behave, and again, it's like, I know
can't control everything other people do.
I know that there's a lot of frustrated people out there, but just keep in mind that there's just no point in just throwing out words because it's fun and feel fun at the time, right? Or just like, you're angry or whatever. But
yeah,
it's like,
I mean, this isn't a game anymore. This isn't trolling anymore. This is the government talking about how to shut us down. Like, they are not messing around.
Well, again, I don't even know if they're talking about us because they haven't defined who they're speaking about. That's the
naturally,
thing.
They're putting all of us into this camp because we're not on their side. So we're against them, basically.
Yeah, no.
So
that's,
I mean,
this
is not a game
yeah.
anymore. They're stepping it up.
Yeah,
they're serious about this.
Yeah, no, definitely, absolutely, and so are we. I mean, it's like that we do consider these to be very serious questions, and we want to make sure that we can create a society, a civilization, countries that are safe for our children and their grandchildren, right? So they're pretending that our concerns are not legitimate, and I think if they continue to ignore it, I think that will worsen the situation, definitely, and no one wants that. No one wants to see that, right? So. So thank you for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you for listening. If you don't agree, I want to thank you for sitting in and listening and hearing our perspective on this. Again, we're for free speech across the board. Anybody who wants to share their ideas about this stuff, go ahead and do it. All we're saying is don't call for the termination of us or our accounts or the censorship or the banning. Let us speak, and people who have better ideas than us, then they can just simply refute our ideas. And there you go. That's the best way to do it, right? Anyway, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out redice.tv and redicemembers.com as well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think we'll round up there. We'll be back with much more later in the week. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was interesting. I'm not, man, I mean, there's a lot to take in. They actually had a committee in Congress to talk about this. All right, now somebody in the chat before I go any further said that this guy's given his testimony today. So here is, was that Jason Chaffetz saying that our acting or our current attorney general's his testimony totally undercuts the Democrats on Mueller. So if somebody already caught that, good on you, man. You're up on it. Also, I don't really get a chance. I don't do a lot of live streams yet, so I don't know how this format works. I don't know what I'm supposed to do to keep people ultra focused. I usually try to keep 15 minutes of focus. But Jordan Peterson is a fraud, okay? There's no way around that. And some of us liked him. I did. I backed him because he's the only one that fought against that transgender bill. But he was the controlled opposition. So they always do this. It's one person, they pick one up, and they go, here's the problem, we're going to serve it at you. And then someone else runs defense, but they also prop that guy up too. They pick him. So Jordan Peterson is not only is he a self-admitted Zionist, but he hates Palestinians with a passion. I mean, he says that if you like or if you identify with the struggle of what the Palestinians are going through in their apartheid state, he says that that's moral virtue signaling and that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. He also says don't ever try to group up into like-minded people. For Jordan, it's more important that you focus on your strict individuality. I always thought that those two things were very, very odd. So Jordan Peterson's a fraud. You shouldn't listen to him anymore. The transgender thing is done. And that's all I got to say about that. Yep, Petra. Does Nadler identify as a Jew and an Israeli national? See, I believe that he is Jewish, right? And if he is Jewish, then under the law of return, he gets citizenship with Israel. And I heard it's as simple as landing in their airport and filling out a postcard. It's that easy, for them. For us, it would never happen. And that's what I never really understood about Christian Zionists. It seems like maybe they're working against their own interest. Christian Zionism I could never get that. I never understood that. Yeah, so this part Okay, Petra, thank you for this comment. It says Peterson never says a word about Zionism. All right, let's go look at, let's go back over here. Jordan Peterson, Zionist. In predictions. Jordan Peterson is asked about the JQ at his NY talk. The JQ. Is that a magazine? I'm just kidding. That's GQ, right? GQ? I can't do it. So he says he won't answer it right there on Red Eyes TV. Wait, we were just watching them. Dang, man. They're like on top of this. Yeah. Let's look at this one. This one looks legit. Oh no. Comments are disabled and nothing works. Weird, huh? Real odd. Strong amount of likes to dislikes, though. Okay, maybe that was a load problem. Let's try it again. Oh, there it is. I understand and I wish to proceed. Is this that poll video? Hell yeah, it's that poll video.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Believe me, you don't want war.
So I puzzled over this for quite a while. I thought, what in the world am I doing at this talk? I started to dig more deeply into the history of the Balfour Declaration.
So you hear him say it? He said he's digging into the history of the Balfour Declaration, and there he is, Mr. Burns himself, the trillionaire, Lord Rothschild. And, I mean, he goes on, man. I'm not going to cover the whole thing, but, you know, this whole video is like people, I mean, it's bad over there, dude. You don't even know. It's bad. They just walk in there and they just bulldoze these people's houses and they set up a settlement. And Benjamin Netanyahu just told the world that he told President Trump straight up that not a single settler would move from the West Bank. Like eventually they're gonna get these people, man. Like eventually, like I don't know how you're gonna exterminate 4 to 5 million people nowadays in an area of the world like that. But I don't know how they plan to get rid of these Palestinians like full time. You know what I mean? Look, they just go in and just bulldoze this stuff. Look at this. It's insane.
Is it a new world or will it consume us?
You know why they're throwing rocks and they're not shooting them? Because they're not allowed to have guns. They're not allowed to protect themselves. And when you're not allowed to protect yourself, this is what people can do to your house. They just bring in the fucking bulldozer, man, and just knock it over. Oops, sorry about that.
Who cares? Why is this so important? Why is this little ratty part of the world that it's like just scraped out of useless desert fundamentally? Why in the world is everyone obsessed with it? You know, and it's really something. It's always struck me.
Yep, it's always struck me too, Jordan Peterson. All right, so Jordan Peterson is best buddies with this guy from, who's the shill? Tommy Robinson. Who did he used to work for? Tommy Robinson is a shill. Okay, I can't make that more clear. The whole point of all these people is this is the controlled opposition. These are the people designed to give you hope that will never fruit. You'll never get what you're trying to get through these people. It will never happen. They are working for the same people that you're fighting against. That's why they run the camp. Jordan Peterson is a shill. That's who he is. Tommy Robinson is a shill. Go look up Nick Griffin of the EDL if you want someone to tell you who Tommy Robinson actually is and what's going on. Over there in the UK, you know. All right, so Jordan Peterson's a shill. We covered that. Yep. Please tell me how. This right here Tell me how. Nepotism. That's the only way that you can explain it. It's a bloodline, okay? The Jews are an group. They consider themselves a separate race, and they consider themselves to be a race made up of like 4 or 5 ethnic heritage lineages, whatever. You know, you got Ashkenazi and Sephardic, and there's a few other ones. Black Hebrew. So the thing about the Black Hebrews is when you look up Hebrew Israelite, that's what you get. You don't get the people that Jesus was from. Jesus was a Hebrew Israelite. So if you're Christian, that's really the only link that you have to Judaism. Hebrew Israelite. And the way the world's set up with the name game and the way they play words is that when you go look for Hebrew Israelite, you will end up looking at a group of black people who call themselves the Black Hebrew Israelites. It's funny how it works, man. I mean, it's very, very well done. I mean, I have a great deal of respect for the level of control these media companies have been able to exert over like generations. You know what I mean? My grandpa didn't know about this stuff. My dad has no clue. You know? The people that are going to be the most based are the ones that just left high school. I'm telling you. Those are going to be the most based people, is the ones that just left high school. Because once you hit college and you realize that you can't really get laid being a beta orbiter guy, someone who drinks soy lattes and has never got his hands dirty, can't dig a ditch or change a tire, or run the world in an effective way. You honestly, you cannot meet a girl without doing those things. It's insane. And if you do, it just seems difficult to get the respect of women when you can't do those things. Or those are just markers, but like that type of lifestyle or that type of person. All right, so it's been a while since I got on the live stream. We have 40 people. Thank you for joining. What do you want to look at? Yeah, that is kind of weird. G-Spike. This thing, Islam starting, there's these people called the Sabbateans. Sabbatean. I dig hunky, self-sufficient men of European descent. Okay. I'll stay on here for a little bit. We can go look at some stuff if you guys want me to stay on. Otherwise, we can end the stream. I really just got on here so people would have a place to leave comments because they shut all the other ones down. What do we want to look at? Okay, let's look at the Sabbatean stuff real quick. Sabbatean, Frankist, crypto Jews. Okay, before I go look at this then, people keep saying, I think we're past it because people don't get stuck in that part of the conversation anymore. But for like years, people would say, hey, why are all these people that are doing bad things all Jewish? You know? Like, I'm not saying it's a Jewish conspiracy here, but it seems like there's an awful lot of Jewish people that are doing these things. You know? The lady that leads the queer hour or whatever on YouTube that's being shown in schools now, she's Jewish. She just admitted that on Twitter. It's all of them. I mean, it's insane. So, teach us how to pick up chicks, Bill. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm your guy for that. People said for a long time, those aren't real Jews. Or those aren't the Jews that are doing it to you, or Jews don't do that. Real Jews don't do that to you. Real Jews are good people. And I think that good people doesn't really have anything to do with like race or ethnicity. You can be a good person, look like anything, right? God is in the heart. God weighs the heart. But some of these people kind of go out of their way to pervert a culture, and then they go, oh, well, I don't really want that same stuff happening in the only place where I can go to get away from everybody else. I find that to be cowardly, obnoxious, double standards that isn't fair to the host populace or whatever that makes up the nation. It just sucks. So Shit, where was I? Where was I? Sabbatean Francus. Okay, so people say that these people are crypto Jews, which just means fake Jew, right? Or a person pretending to be Jewish when they're not really. But that's not true. They were always Jews. The Sabbatean Francus were always Jews. They became the Sabbateans and the Francus later as little splinter groups spawned little areas and jotted off, like the Protestants and the Catholic Church, except for the Protestants and the Catholic Church didn't get together and make a handshake agreement to take over the world. And it looks to me like all the little Jewish splinter groups did that. And the only way to do that would be to say that we share a common linkage somewhere, and if they're all proclaiming to hate each other, but they all work together, the only thing I can think of is you share some kind of ethnic heritage, and that's the binding factor. So no, the people in the 600s or 700s or the 1300s or whatever aren't the same as the people from 5,000 years ago, but some of them might be, some of them could be, many of them could be. And what I don't get is if people say that the fake Jews happened in 600 or the fake Jews happened in 1300 or the fake Jews happened in 1700 or 1600 when the Rothschilds took over the banks, what they, or created the banks, what they don't consider is that the Old Testament talks about all of this in detail. Like, these people went into Babylon, and supposedly there the Babylonian Talmud showed its face. That's the first one. That's where the Talmud came from, and that was the perversion, original. But these people had already moved around a couple times and had many, many problems with like false idol worship, sacrificing children, bloodletting, blood sacrifice. Like, that's all in the Old Testament. And then it's really in the Talmud, like it's codified in the Talmud, all out of Babylon. So then after that, they go into Egypt, right? And then they endure, terrible slavery, whatever you want to call it. I bet it wasn't that bad because it's difficult to keep slavery in a functional society. It's hard. Like, it takes a great deal of control. So unless people accept it and see some kind of value, and I mean, if no one mistreats you, what's the big problem? You know what I mean? Like, if I was going to go into slavery and, some Roman was like, look, man, here's the deal. You get 3 meals and a cot, and your job is to take care of my house. And, don't mess around. Here's the rules. Don't break the rules. Please don't break the rules, and it's all good. I would much rather go there. If I was there, I could be a productive member of society. I'd have restrictions, but, the chains, the handcuffs, the beating, the whipping, sex slavery, selling people off for profit, like some of that other stuff kind of makes having a functional society difficult. So that's why there was rules in the South against mistreating slaves. And it's one of the only places that slavery has ever existed where there was rules against mistreating slaves, like actual law. You could not mistreat slaves. I guess maybe that changed throughout history, though. They didn't learn in Egypt, okay? So to endure all that stuff, they did not learn their lesson. So then Moses comes along and goes, hey, Pharaoh, let my people go. And they go, okay, let's cross the sea. God will split the sea. They walk across on the other side. The sea swallows up all the people that was trying to get them. Now they're free. Okay, now God leads them into the desert, and then God creates an oasis. They have all this new water. And he gives Moses the 10 Commandments. Now, from the time it took for them to leave Egypt, get to the promised land in the desert, or their holdover for 40 years in the desert, and this desert oasis where they can graze their crops and graze on crops, all kinds of stuff. I mean, they were taken care of out there. It wasn't sand. During the time they got the 10 Commandments, the time that it took Moses to go up to the top of the mountain, walk up to the top of the mountain and come down with these tablets. And that time in that 2 or 3 days, they created a golden calf and started worshiping it. That happened. That's in the Old Testament. So where you can, what I'm saying is like the level of trust that they have inside of their own society is low. It's been low since way back when. They operate in a low trust society. By being involved in a host nation, okay, there's a need, a survival necessity to bond together. So what that ends up looking like is a high trust society for themselves and a low trust society the way they treat everybody else. And it goes back to like the time of Moses. So it's always been there. There's no such thing as a crypto Jew, in my opinion, because it's always been like that. It's always been that way. You go back to like Cain and Abel. The story of Cain and Abel. Like, I mean, if you read the Old Testament, you find out like it's a sordid, seedy history. And I bet if you asked a rabbi, they go, oh, well, there's all these moral lessons and God was teaching his people to live productively. But the way I read it is filled with incest, child torture, human sacrifice, cowardice, lying, cheating, and a bunch of other heinous bullshit that I would never want to live my life as. That's what the Old Testament represents to me. And I do not take any stock in the Old Testament. I say fuck all those people. But also I don't understand it. And I'm sorry for cursing. I apologize, especially to something biblical. The only value in the Bible is in the New Testament. That's it. Like, Jesus didn't get caught up in arguing with people half-assed, right? Like, he didn't play into their games, and he always won. Even when he got tortured and put to death, he still won. And now we, base time on him. 0 year before Christ. Like, that happened. And he doesn't say anything about Jews or anything. He says God. He made a remark to some king or something. He's like, I can make sons of Abraham from those rocks before I could make one of you. And this guy was like a Jew, and he thought he was very holy. And that's what Jesus said to him. People don't really know the Bible very well. I'm lucky enough to have been around people who know it much better than I do, and I get a lot of stuff from listening to what they talk about, because I was born and raised Catholic, and that religion sucks. And, the whole confession thing was about extracting information from the population. That's all BS. You get forgiveness directly from God when you ask for it. You don't get it through another man sitting across from you. So I knew that there was like these issues. I just didn't know where it was from. I also think it's weird that you don't ever learn about Jewish behavior or Israel or Jewish history in the Catholic Church or Catholic school. I find it odd. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, but it's weird, right? So, fake Jews, I don't know, man. I'm telling you that Jews have always been like that. There's no difference, okay? Once they went into Babylon, the full corruption happened. The full corruption happened to whoever stayed in Babylon. And then those people came out of Babylon and rejoined their Jewish counterparts. And there's been a lot of that. So it goes back, they talk about it in the Bible, Cain and Abel. That's the seed of evil, supposedly. So it's there from the beginning. It's nothing new. And anything that you've seen in the last 2,000 years is just a continuation of whatever was there before Christ. So, Jesus was a Hebrew Israelite. That's who he was. And Jesus was a Jew, yes, in a way. He was from Judea. But he was a Hebrew Israelite. And he was talking to the Gentile population. That's who he was talking to. And that's who took on his cause. Some Jews left early. He gave them the warning. He gave them a 40-year warning. And he said, they're going to come tear down that temple within 40 years of my death. You're going to see it. And it happened. And anybody that stayed and fought for that second temple destruction got killed. Like 1 million of them got killed because they were stupid. They could have left. They could have listened to him. They would have survived. So all those people moved out of that area. Some of them ended up in Europe. And honestly, I think those are probably the good people. Like, some of those people became the Ashkenazi Jews, I think. And I have some friends that are Ashkenazi Jew, and they're good people. They're good people, I have a couple friends that are Ashkenazi Jew, but they're Christian. So genetically, they're Ashkenazi Jew, but they're Christian. And honestly, I don't really want to talk about my DNA test, but that could be a problem too. So Jews are not bad people. Okay, God weighs the heart, but there is a concerted effort to group up somewhere. You know, like where is it? I can connect all these dots, you know, but then once I get the picture drawn, a lot of people don't want to look at it. They don't want to go, oh gosh, you know. So I'm not really a big fan of like Trump handing over the Golan Heights, moving the embassy, and all that other good stuff. If it stabilizes the region and that's all they're trying to do, then fine. I don't really want to talk. I'm not ready to jump ship on Trump yet, okay? Because they did signal on the Q board that I think they signaled on the Q board that this stuff was about to happen. It's the only way I can read it. Because I don't really think Trump likes Benjamin Netanyahu all that much. Like, I look at his body language and who they are. He's giving them everything. You know what I mean? They're just giving him the kitchen sink. They're like, what else do you want? You want billions of dollars here? Here's $46 billion, you know? Like, you want more stuff? What else do you want? You want the West Bank? Here. Fuck it, just annex half the West Bank, you know? You want the Golan Heights? Here you go. You want Jerusalem? Here you go. You know? But then I see him standing next to Benjamin Netanyahu, and he doesn't seem like he really likes him that much. Like, there doesn't seem to be, like, a chemistry. It's more of, like, something he has to deal with. So I don't want to jump ship on Trump yet. Plus, I go back to those earlier campaign speeches, man. Just gives me the chills. I really think that he's trying to do the right thing. I also can't... 8chan is dead. Oh, man. You think 8chan's dead after this hearing? I don't believe Jew is both a religion and a race. It's not logical. No, it is not logical. It can't be. How can you be a race and a religion? And how come I can't become a Jew? I mean, maybe, you know, but like, if you take a full Gentile off the street, they can't be Jewish, you know? They won't let you in. You're not allowed. It's crazy. But then they'll say, open the doors, man. Let them all in. Hey, you remember how when we were talking about the wall, how we were supposed to get like an Israeli-style concrete wall? You know, concrete. 6 foot thick, 30 feet high. That kind of thing. Barbed wire, razor fence. That's what I was hoping for. Now we get steel slats. That's the compromise, I guess. Steel slats, you know? I don't know, man. I feel like things are not what I thought they were going to be, and they're taking a lot longer than I thought they were going to take. And it's looking more and more to me like everything is a play for the second term. It's just all about guaranteeing the second term. And I'll be the first one to admit that the second term, that's when all the good stuff happens. Or the terrible stuff that you never want. Like, we got the transgender movement under Obama in his second term. We got gay marriage right on the end of his first term to mobilize the gay population through the Supreme Court. Like, is that true? 2015? 13, right? Gay marriage was 13? Yeah, second term. Obama's second term. In Obama's second term, we got gay marriage and transgenderism. Those are second term situations, you know what I'm saying? So the second term is the one you want to watch out for. It's possible, it's totally possible that the clean out, you know, if you follow QAnon and you believe it, it's possible that the clean out is the second term, or the start of it is before the election to mobilize the people that really, really, really wanted to see this happen, you know, at timing. Politics is all about keeping control, and it's all about timing of elections. So if that's what they're up to is a second term push, Man, I hate that, and I feel like they could have easily done it in one term. 4 years to clean up the world when you have control of the president and the U.S. military. It doesn't seem like it's that hard. Why don't they just, I don't know. They play this game where now we're at 3 times. You understand that 3 times the amount of people are coming over the border right now with Trump in office than we had under Obama? And that's the reason why we elected Trump. 3 times the amount of people now come over under Trump than did under Obama. And then what they'll do now is Trump will selectively pull one story, like the caravan stuff. Okay, they make it across, man. They make it across. We all get fixated on the caravan, them assaulting our border, and in the end, the caravan actually wins. They make it across. They get processed. Some of them get sent back over to Mexico to wait. Okay? We've reduced the numbers. And now all that happens is people just come across outside of the checkpoints, through the desert. I heard it's gotten twice as expensive for coyotes to take people. But if you're under a catch and release policy, what's the point? Which is what we're doing. The other thing that bothers me that's happening right now on the immigration is we were separating families, and they make a big deal out about that in the media. What bothers me about that is that there's no way to genetically test these people. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're doing that. That seems like that is necessary. Like if you hit the border without paperwork, no passport, and you got 3 kids with you that don't look like you, right? Or maybe they're all Mexican and you're Mexican, or you're Honduran and they're Mexican, but nobody knows it because you speak the same language and you look similar. And you're someone's uncle, not their dad, and you're taking the kid to see his mom up in Chicago. That kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that the border people deal with every single day. Now, I can tell you this. I have been to Mexico, and it would not be difficult to get a kid. I'm just being honest. You know what I mean? Like, if I went to a place like Cancun and I had to walk up through Mexico, through those little villages, and I said, hey, I'm on my way to the United States. I can give that kid a better life. I can give him a better opportunity. Here you go. Have them. I got 6 more, right? Have this one, take them. You know, take 2. You want 2? Here you go. Then they hit the border, right? And then that's where you see all those caravan pictures of people pushing and shoving these kids, sticking them up in front of them, making sure they don't get shot with the rubber bullets, putting the kid up in front of them, tossing the kid over the fence or under some barbed wire. Like, the kid is the passport. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that is the passport for the catch and release system. If you come across the border by yourself and you get picked up, you're going to a detention camp, which are now overrun and full, so no big deal anyway. You're probably going to get released one way or the other. But if you come across with a kid, you get family treatment. That's what you get. You get to be treated like a family, and you get just automatically released. Once you're automatically released, ditch the kid or take the kid. Who knows, right? But if we don't know who the kid was and you never show up for your court date, how do we know what happened to the kid? Nobody knows, right? But they don't tell you that stuff on TV. You don't get that from the news. They just say, oh my God, Trump is a bad orange man, you know, orange man bad, because he is separating families, you know, and how dare he? Like, we're supposed to take the word of someone who's just violated our national sovereignty illegally, knows that they're doing it illegally because they're not going through the border like the checkpoints or whatever. And we're just supposed to take those criminals. We're supposed to take the word of a criminal that kid belongs to them. Seems weird. Okay, this right here, a crust. Is that a regional thing? I don't know, man. Was that a verbal tick I did? I can say that I feel like a better microphone and one of those foam filters would probably help me. I get kind of caught up sometimes, so I apologize if I misspoke. I wrote a letter to Trump. I was thinking about doing that someday. I hope he writes back. Child trafficking, yep. We should have a right to declare war on them for treason according to Article 1, Section 8. C-15 says we can and can form militias to suppress insurrection and repel invasions. Yep. That was also before the Patriot Act, though, I imagine. Like, there's all kinds of other laws that supersede some of this stuff. I'm not like an expert at all on any of this stuff, but I have noticed that sometimes they write laws to oversee other laws. There's loopholes, sometimes things, I don't know. Without the military, the U.S. government's never going to allow anything to happen. I mean, they just won't. You know, there's no way that we can win against the U.S. military or the U.S. government. I know that might piss a lot of people off to hear that, but there's no way to win against the U.S. government as an external force. The only way to win is to be kind and polite and nonviolent and talk to each other. That's literally the only thing that has to happen. That's why these people were so freaked out about this committee hearing that we were watching earlier, about white nationalism. Because all you have to do is just talk to other white people and say, hey, I identify as being a white person. Then it's all over. It doesn't matter what happens, okay? The world could go kaboom. And if white people just said, hey, I'm white and you're white, and I feel like we can trust each other because of that, because we have similar values and similar dispositions, you know, we share some of the same cultural norms, and I feel like you're cool, right? You're not going to hurt me, and I could trust you if I had to leave the camp to watch my stuff. Once people start saying that to each other, it's all over. So that's what this is all about. That's why they had to do it. I mean, now, really, if Trump goes ahead with this stuff, if the QAnon stuff is real, you know, if the deep state cleanup is real, and it actually does happen, they're gonna have a problem on their hands, you know. All right. You know, we're over here at jta.org. I don't know if you've ever seen this website. This is jta.org, and this is a Jewish site. I like to read this. I like to read Haaretz, and I also like to read It's Really Cool. Because these are like mainstream outlets, jta.org. These are Jewish, obviously, you know what I mean? It's old, too. Established during World War I as a telegraph agency to spread the agenda. But I want to go look at this. Actually, hey, let's look at this real quick. So those Red Eyes people, they said something about this thing called slur machine, and I've never seen it before. And I went and looked at it, and it's naughty. It's naughty, you know. So I don't know if I should like click on it on my live stream. Should I? Should we look at it? It's called slurmachine.fun. It's not .com. It's .fun. Slurmachine.fun. And I want to click it, but I don't think I should. But I wanted to show. So I go over here, like I said, I go read these websites because these people, man, they're insane. Like they're insane. They have a very interesting outlook on life. That's what I've learned from reading these websites. Especially telling to me is the people that read this. I have never seen such rabid racism anywhere online than in the comment section on this website and Haaretz. When they talk about anything that pings the Jewish identity, you really see the hatred on full display. I mean, it's fascinating to me. So I get a kick out of hanging out on these websites sometime and reading the comments. I never comment because I feel like it'd just be trolling, you know. I'm a European. I'm ethnically European. I'm an ethnic European Gentile. That's who I am. And I'm a Christian nationalist. So I don't really consider myself to be a white nationalist. I know that's the thing they were talking about in this article and the hearing today. I'm not a white nationalist. I it's because I don't identify as being white. And that may come as a surprise to some people, but I feel like it's a trick. It's sneaky. Because this guy, Jerry Nadler, he's Jewish, right? So let's go look at Twitter. Let me show you this, just so you can understand this. I don't know why people don't understand this or know it. Gerald Nadler. See this? He triple brackets himself. He's Jewish, for sure. And he's proud of it. And what's interesting to me is that everybody in, like, I did a video about this, like the QAnon people. Mainstream normies are so stupid. They're just so dumb. Like, they're so dumb and gullible. And I get it. I get now why Facebook and Twitter and YouTube are having such a problem, because it's so easy to mislead people. That's what I've learned from doing this and actually paying attention to how people write articles. It's so simple to push a fake story and then make it work. So there were stupid people following QAnon who started triple bracketing themselves, and then you go look at their little bio and it says they're a Christian. I'm like, you're not a Jew, you know? This is Jewish. This triple bracketing thing is Jewish. It's called the echo symbol, triple brackets, triple parentheses, but it's Jewish. And the reason why he's using it is he's trying to own the meme, which is the equivalent of him putting a Juden star from the Nazi death camp on his Twitter page. and saying I'm with you guys. So QAnon posted this twice, right? One on a Q+, and then after the Q+ post came out, Trump basically went on a give the Jews whatever they want, give Israel whatever they want spree. It's like pop, 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 pop. Here's stuff that they've been asking for 50 years. He's like, oh, here you go. But they signaled on the Q board before they did that. So I want to give them a little bit more time to figure out if all this stuff is like more long-term stability plays. That's why I don't want to jump ship on Q. And I love Donald Trump. I think that he's our only hope. So if he doesn't do it, we're done. You know, it will have to happen at a societal level. If Donald Trump does not clean this up, society will have to revert back to the way it was. And that's why they're having like these conversations, because they're scared. You know, this is why white people cannot have an identity, and that's why I don't identify as being white. I'm not a white person. I am an ethnic European Gentile. And it's weird that I have to say that I'm a Gentile, because 2% of the population made up a word to create an in-group, out-group dynamic so that they could enforce a double standard on a host population. And they did this by declaring, you are a Gentile. You are not one of us. You are a Goyim, or a member of the Goy. People say that's not a real word. That's definitely a real word. It's Yiddish. And they say it translates to the nations, right? But then I remember there was this Mexican cartel organization, nonprofit, whatever you want to call them, and they were called La Raza, and all the Mexican politicians were saying La Raza, and that literally means the race. So Jews did it to everybody else. They said, look, you're members of the nations, and then La Raza called themselves the race. They're Mexican, Hispanic. So this is why the multicultural experiment will never work, and this is why Jews push it. 100%, that's the only reason why they push open borders for everybody else and closed, secretive, law of return, Jew-only entrance for Israel. That's the only reason, is because the more people there are here to compete with each other at a group level, the more disharmony and insurrection they can sue. So that's why they do it. And then that's why they're afraid of you talking about it or knowing about it. Because then once you know the spell's broken, they can't get away with it anymore. But this is a triple bracket, and this means that whatever's inside these triple brackets is Jewish or Jewish owned. It's them, it's them. That's Gerald Nadler. That's him. Saying white nationalism is bad. If you are a white person and you like your country and you do not want open borders, you are a problem for him to solve. And he is Jewish. He is Jewish, and he is trying to combat white nationalism. Now, this gets confusing to me because Jews say they're white. They go on Twitter and they say, dear white people. Here, let's look for one. My fellow white people. Sweet. See, this is a big meme. Everybody understands it. 44 minutes ago, this is for my fellow white people who think using the N-word constitutes free speech activism. I guarantee you this is a Jewish person. I guarantee it. Yeah. He retweeted from Bernie Sanders, who is a Jew. This is I also want to slip this in here real quick. If you're actually listening to me, I know this is kind of I don't know if live streaming is good for me. Okay, I don't know if this is landing at all, but this is the reason why Bernie Sanders will never be a president. He cannot be a president. There cannot be a Jewish president. If there is a Jewish president, then you will have someone to blame, and they cannot have you blaming a Jew. That's why there's never been a Jewish president, even though we've had, 10, 15% right now, 20% of the Democratic Party in Congress is Jewish. I mean, they're clearly overrepresented in Congress, on the Supreme Court. I mean, anywhere you look, Hollywood, media, TV news, but there's never been a Jewish president. Because once there's a Jewish president, many people will understand. It's just too much of a billboard, is what I'm trying to say. It's easier to put other people around a president and control them than it is to actually take the direct blame. I mean, how many people know people in Congress? We do, but I don't know. I asked my dad, who's your congressman? He doesn't know. Why would you know that? People actually say this. As white people, we are guilty, whatever. Fellow white people. Do I even want to talk about this anymore? Black lives are greater than white feelings. I almost want to go look at her website. You loser. Why would you write this stuff? You know what I mean? Activism. Challenge fellow white people. And be as gay as possible. Huh. You really think that's her? No possible way that's actually her. Hired Sherry, huh? Oh, maybe she does, man. I feel bad about myself if this person's real. How would we, whatever. All right. Jerry Nadler. White nationalism is bad. Okay, so this is why I don't subscribe to being a white person anymore. Because Jerry will say he's white. He'll say he's white. And then they'll be white to be a part of the host culture. Generally European nations, right? They'll try to blend in. But then they'll wear their little tiny hat around and they'll say, no, I'm Jewish. And they'll revert back and forth depending on who they're talking to and who they're doing business with, And that's why they'll say, open borders for your country, closed borders for Israel. That's how they do it. I mean, it's not really that hard to understand. But he says he's a white person, but then he says, I'm Jewish. So they want both. So I say let them have both. I say if Jews say they're white, then I'm not white anymore, because I'm obviously something else. I subscribe to a completely different worldview, right? I believe in the Christian moral model, and there's not a lot of room for me there. So I need to be called something else. So I believe that I'm not a white nationalist. I am a Christian though, and I do believe in my country. So I am a Christian nationalist. Ethnically, I'm of European descent, and that's who I am. I'm not white, because Jerry's white. So if I have to say specifically that I'm a European descended Gentile, then so be it. Until we can fully exclude people who claim to be a member of a different race from the white race, I just feel like we'll never get out of this. Like this will continue to be a thing. These people will masquerade, and then they'll chew us up from the inside. Can you play this Little Caesars video? I think the chat would enjoy this.
Understood. Little Caesars hot and ready lunch combos now $4 instead of $5.
4 large slices of deep dish pepperoni pizza.
And a 20-ounce soda for just $4.
They're being sneaky. Even the dogs in on it. Look at this
Get
guy
the hot
here.
and ready lunch combo for the unbelievable price of just $4. Wow!
Pizza.
That was brutal. That was so brutal. Let's read the comments. Yeah. You think this is on purpose? You think Little Caesars did this on purpose? Let's read the comments. That's the best part. Yeah. 1.6 thousand likes on that comment. Seriously, like, this is the easiest way to troll anybody on the internet. You shouldn't do it, but my 8 quintillion. I don't know what these mean. I don't know why that would be funny. I'm just laughing because it feels like I'm supposed to. Kicked out of 109 pizzerias. It's never their fault. This is on YouTube, Why do the pizza chambers have wooden doors, Tone? Do they? Do they have wooden doors? What else had a wooden door? Little Caesars is now the official pizza. When you have 20,000 ovens, all problems look like pizzas. A happy pizza merchant. We must secure the existence of our large pepperoni and a side of breadsticks for our children. The whole comment section is based in pizza pilled. The Goyim were never supposed to know about the hot and ready lunch combos for $4. Oh no. No. I mean, could you imagine? You think Little Caesars knows about this? Where would they get that idea? That's all I'm saying. I've noticed a lot of weird stuff happening with stuff on the internet lately. Like, it seems like all the good memes are all kind of the opposite of whatever the TV thinks, and it's catching on, like it is catching on. That's why there's all these reactive measures. That's why you have to keep finding ways to stifle people without causing them to leave your platform. So you really got to do it. I mean, these people are walking a thin line, like all these social media companies. If they go strike someone down or ban them, or if they come down too hard with a hammer and someone big leaves, or a bunch of people leave at the same time, you create a competitor, and they definitely do not want that. All right, I'm probably going to end my live stream here pretty soon. I think a lot of people, I think we were up to like 50 at one point. Now we're down to 35. I could probably keep going for like another half hour, but I need to post a video to my other channel to get people to come over here because I'd like to get a bigger group of us together. Also, there's like a total of like 50 of us, I think, on some of these live streams. So what I was thinking was, what if we all get a Twitter account? I'll log into Twitter, and we can all go Twitter surfing together. Is that something that you guys would be interested in? And type a couple comments like yes if like a Twitter rat pack or something, wolf pack. Is that a thing? Could we do a wolf pack of people on Twitter? We could. I'm just saying we could get a lot done. All right. I'm ending my live stream now. I appreciate everybody that came along. Thanks for the likes and views. Thanks for all the comments. I got a lot out of it. Next time we meet up, I will talk about the Sabbatean Frankists because I don't think that we really went into the history there. In the meantime, check out Owen Benjamin. Okay, he's a good guy to see now. They're giving him a hard time. He's giving them a hard time. Chat is disabled for this live stream. You see this? They disabled my live stream. Right there. Everybody got kicked off once I showed that. I wonder if this is a problem. I almost want to keep it online now. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab all of these comments because you guys did work. You done real work, man. All right, if you can hear me right now, I know the comments got disabled. It just happened while we were talking. Right after I clicked on Ron's little video link here. Ron, I'm blaming you, Mr. Sheckelson. But no big deal. I'm going to end the live stream now. I did copy all of your comments here, and I'll find a way to post them online somewhere. I have a website called 8runner.com, so maybe I'll make a web page on that website. You can come check it out over here. Let's go check it out, 8runner.com. This is it. So I haven't updated this in a long time. It's been a while. But I'll come over here and try to do a little bit more work, and I'll make a web page for this. And I'll put all of your comments on it. If that's something you guys would like. All right. Thank you for the support. Thanks for watching, hanging out. I had a good time. I'll try to do this more often. And I don't know what to say. I mean, I wish that somebody could talk to me in the freaking chat right now. But you can't. So if you've just joined, I'm ending the live stream. Oh, dang it. 2 more people came along. Okay. Dang it. What should we do? There's no way I can talk to you. And there's no way that you can talk to me because they disabled the chat. And people are joining now. Dang it. Okay. Should I stay online? See, this is why we need a Twitter account. I'm over on Twitter, but I don't use it a lot anymore. So I think that we should get together in groups. I think that if you want to join the stream next time, try to get a Twitter account set up by then. You don't have to do it on your name or anything, but we'll come up with a hashtag, hashtag Bill Smith or something, and then we'll all kind of communicate in real time over there in case this happens again. All right. I'm cutting off the live stream. I appreciate everybody that came along, and I'll talk to you guys soon.